by Toyota.
Welcome to Sports Nation. Kerry Champion here, joined by Marcellus Wiley, Elsley Granderson, Mike Golick Jr., and of course the coach, and obviously one of my favorite Lakers ever, Byron Scott. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we got to get right to it, folks, because the news is in. Kawhi wants to go. So Going Places presented by Toyota. Chris Haynes is reporting that Kawhi Leonard wants out of San Antonio. According to sources, Kawhi is frustrated with the team and the way the organization handled his quad injury and feels the franchise turned on him once he went for a second opinion. And then we have this. Art Wojnarowski tweeting out that San Antonio's Kawhi Leonard has Los Angeles, preferably the Lakers, at the center of his preferences for a trade destination. This is what league sources tell ESPN. So this is why we brought the coach in. First off, we want to talk about this. You as a player...
Oh, man, we already started.
I'm sorry.
Come on, man, Lakers, man. Come on.
I was trying to be neutral.
Y'all Lakers out over there. Go ahead, let's hear
I
it.
was trying to be neutral. So as a coach, I want to talk to you about the frustration. Can you see this situation happening? He didn't like the way the team handled his injury, so he's so angry with them that he decides he has to go.
Yeah, I can see that happening. You know, Kawhi's a different dude. You know, he's very quiet, very reserved, but I think he's also one of those guys that he has to feel that you love him and that you got his back. And he has to feel the same thing about the organization. I think once he went and got that second opinion, he didn't feel they had his back. And then some of the stuff that was coming out, some of the stuff Tony Park said, Manu Ginobili, and then Pop, when they would ask him questions, would say, you know what, I have no idea. Go ask Kawhi's people. I mean, I think all those things, he's sitting there and he's listening to this going, oh, okay. It's like this. Huh?
Is he listening or someone in his camp listening? Because you know when you have these players that are superstars, other people have their ear and help change their mind.
Well, I think he only probably has one or two people in his camp, unlike most of these guys who got 15, 20.
Right.
You know, so I think he really was doing most of the listening. And again, like I said, I think he's a different type of cat. He doesn't care about all this other stuff that goes on. You know, he's about basketball and he's about family. And I think once they kind of turned their back on him, as he saw it, then he kind of said, okay, you know what, I'm done with this.
Talk about him going to the Lakers before we get to this bias.
Yeah, before y'all come over here and get some objective analysis.
A fit for the Lakers. What does that look like to you? How do they make that happen?
That looks so good to me. and I remember, Kerry, we were sitting there one time and I said, yeah, they're going to get LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard. I think I said something like that.
I remember that.
Yeah, Roll the tape.
I think I said and now I'm going to add another one to that piece. Because I think they're going to make this deal with San Antonio, even though I know, we all know Pop don't want to make this deal because it's the West Coast. But once he came out and said, L.A. Lakers, what other team in the whole NBA is going to try to trade for him because they know they got a rental player for 1 year and he's gone? You know, so your best opportunity to get some pieces back is probably the Los Angeles Lakers, who have some pieces and have a draft pick to give back to San Antonio. And then once you get that, now you go out and you say, okay, LeBron, we got Kawhi Leonard. We're going to give you this max deal. And by the way, Chris Paul, we're going to give you one too. So won't you come on to L.A. too?
Whoa, you heard it here first. You heard it here first.
No, I'm not saying I say it. Did you hear what I just said? I said,
You declare.
LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul in that purple and gold. I'm going to sit back and rest my case.
It's yours.
No Paul George?
I like the makeup of that. I would prefer Paul George just because he's more dependable come playoff times. I think Chris Paul has shown a tendency to get hurt during the playoff times. So you need that will. But I will say this. A lot of people thought the Spurs had an inside track because they could sign him to a max deal. What they weren't factoring in was the shoe deal. Kawhi Leonard was offered $5 million a year by Jordan Brand. Now, he's a top 3 player. KD, LeBron. These two cats are making $20 million a year off of their endorsements deal. So if he moves to a larger market, he has an opportunity to quadruple the apparel, which makes up for the money he would have lost by leaving San Antonio and not getting the Supermax.
Yeah, that's the one thing we always hear about. Yes, he is. He does seem very focused in on basketball. But this last year and this process has really led us into a little bit more. And he has been slighted by some of these things, and he is going to proceed as such. And the Lakers make an overwhelming amount of sense. This affects the LeBron James sweepstakes in ways that we thought would come out before. The interesting one to me, and the name that I started seeing floated around, you talk about who else can move assets. The Boston Celtics, if we believe what was going on before things got off at the trade deadline, we're feeling this out. Kyrie Irving has already been talked about as potential trade bait with this team, so you can't really rule them out because A, it's Danny Ainge, and B, they've got young parts to move still.
And good for Kawhi. One, when you misdiagnose me, I don't trust you ever again because our careers are finite. You only have so many years and so many prime years where you go out there and maximize your dollars. So That's inexcusable. And then for you to lose control and basically bully me in the media, from Tony Parker to Ginobili to even you, Pop, my group, when your group and the representatives from San Antonio is there as well in New York, but it's my group, okay, Uncle Dennis comes into the fold and says, let's reset your value. And not only what you're going to command from teams, but the respect they must treat you with. And that's all this situation is right now. And I applaud him because a lot of people didn't think he was gangster enough to walk up to Popovich and say that real G's move in silence.
Well, he didn't walk up. First of all, this is a new age. He texted him.
Well, it's coming. It's coming. He still got to see him.
He's sitting there saying, you know what, Pop? I ain't feeling this no more.
Nah, I ain't dunking on him. This ain't Tim Duncan.
LA.
1 second, though. I think a lot of people give Pop a lot of respect for how he deals with his players and the respect that they have for him. How do you take a man like Popovich, and he has so much infinite wisdom, how does he mishandle a situation like this? I know we're all human, but how does he mishandle this?
I don't know. I mean, like you said, Pop is setting his ways just like so many other people are in life, and he's setting his ways on how he deals with players. He did a masterful job of getting LaMarcus Aldridge back on track.
You're right.
You know what I mean? As far as going to him and saying, okay, how can we work this out? I think with Kawhi, it was done. It was broken. You know, with some of the stuff that went on during the season, like I said, with the players that made their statements, you know, Tony Parker, well, I had the same injury, but I was playing. I mean, stuff like that, that's stuff supposed to be kept in the locker room. That's never supposed to get out, you know, and then we talk about that as teammates, you know, and then Pop kind of, like I said, you know, earlier where he would just kind of say, you got to have to ask Kawhi's people. I think all those little things just added up, and they just got to a point where Kawhi was at the point now where he doesn't necessarily want to sit down with Pop. He doesn't need to sit down with anybody on that team. I love the fact that as a player, and you know this, back in our day, we didn't have this type of control.
No.
He has total control of what he wants to do.
Sure.
And he's telling them, this is where I want to go. And if you don't trade me there, I'll play this year, then I'm going anyway.
Let's spin it forward. So we got Kawhi, we got LeBron, and we got CP3. Let's spin this forward by we a Laker.
Paul George.
And Paul George.
Okay, I'm about to say,
and Lakers. Okay, so what we doing with the Warriors? We meet them in the finals, and what happens?
We meet them in the finals, and you know it's gonna be tough.
That's the Western Conference Finals.
That's what I'm talking about.
Of course.
If you're lucky.
That's what I'm talking about. The Western Conference.
If you're lucky.
What you mean if we're lucky?
Houston's still in the house.
We get those three. We in the Western Conference Finals against Golden State.
You know, I am going to go home. What's really interesting is that, you know, 24, 48 hours later, we thought the conversation that the Lakers had with Kuz and Lonzo was about making sure they were attractive for LeBron. Perhaps it was about making sure they were attractive to be traded so that Pop wouldn't have any reservations about getting these young players. So I think that in combination with Jeannie's, you know, feeling herself tweet.
Don't underestimate.
Don't underestimate. You got to realize that, you know, there was a lot of things happening behind closed doors that we weren't necessarily characterizing right. Though, when I saw Kawhi at the Dodgers game, I knew something was up because I've been to a lot of Dodgers games. I ain't never seen that brother at a Dodgers game.
Finally, you got good seats.
All right, so last word for you before we go to break.
Where you been at?
No, I just think more of what he said. Lakers fans, by the way, get behind this now. Everyone was all against LeBron coming to L.A. before and going back against that. You add one more name to the mix. Let's scrap the rest of that.
Not everyone.
Those
people who saying we don't want LeBron, something wrong with y'all.
Yeah,
that's the best player in the world. You don't want him here.
Something's wrong
with you. You do understand that he went to 8 straight finals.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's taken a couple of teams that didn't really have a whole lot.
Yeah.
And you don't want him here? Something wrong with y'all. Y'all
Get
crazy.
out your feelings, y'all.
Crazy.
Welcome, LeBron.
Jump on this wagon. Y'all better jump on this wagon.
Thank you, Coach.
Back, dog, I'm telling you.
Coming up, Vegas says
Clip City. He said he wanted to come to L.A. He didn't say the Lakers.
we are talking about the Warriors when we get back, y'all. Thanks for sticking around.